Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing. Welcome to Progressive Overload Podcast. We are excited to have you here today in our Studio 3.0. 3.0. Welcome to our new studio. Hey, everybody, we had some life changes kind of stuff we'll get into at a later time, but we are moved into our new studio at location of Ronin Style Striking and Grappling.
Yep.
T-Money, Tyson Burwell's MMA gym.
MMA gym, yeah.
Yes.
So we are actually in a gym at this point.
We are in a gym closet.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah, we are literally in my storage closet
I
for our
know,
new
it's
studio.
awesome. So thank you for opening up your place so we can have another place to record and just offer this this wonderful podcast to our listeners.
Yeah, it was all part of my plan to be able to steal our equipment.
Yeah. So now you can have it for your own recording desires.
There you go.
So with that being said, we are inside a gym right now, inside a gym closet, like I said. So if you hear some crashing weights or if you hear people grunting and stuff like that, just consider that a part of the 3D experience of the Progressive Overload podcast.
I think it's fitting that we're in a gym now.
I know. I like it. I think it works.
So
yeah. Another new thing you may see, we have Mrs. Veronica
Hi,
Lumholtz
One and
back on
only.
the podcast. She
Happy
was
to be back.
Yes, welcome back. I'm sure we'll have you on plenty of times. Excited to have you here and to join us for Pillar 4 of the 4-part series of the 4 pillars of the Chim and the Church.
The Chim and the Church.
I'm stuck with me this time.
Yeah.
The gym and the church, 4 pillars. Tyson, can you recap the first 3 pillars?
Oh, dude, no, you're going to put me on a spot like that? What did we talk about? It's been so long.
Pillar 1 was behaviors.
Behaviors, that's right.
Yes.
That is right. It's an important one.
It was a good one.
That was a good
What
one.
was number 2? Oh, come on now.
Literally, bro. And I listened to, that's the worst part, is I actually
You've
listened
listened
to
to it,
them
yeah.
since
Should have
then.
warned him.
All right, Pillar 2 was programming.
And he's cheated because he's reread
I believe it.
because last time there was this awkward pause where he's like, "What did we do?"
But I'm forgetting 3. What was 3? Oh, 3 was just we talked about nutrition and macros and stuff like that.
Yes.
And pillar 4 of things in the gym and the church that need constant attention. Pillar 4 today we are going to be talking about rest, recovery, and adaptation. So rest and recovery is going to be the main thing on the agenda today. It's something that needs constant attention. Doesn't always get it though.
No, and I think all of us aren't all that good at making sure that we get
yeah,
our
we were
recovery.
just talking about that, how we always advocate it for other people and have a hard time doing it ourselves.
Right. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get better after this, right, guys?
Yeah, that's the
We're
idea.
going to commit.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in depth. But first, as always, we are doing our random question from the coffee can.
From the coffee can.
So let's see. Oh, that was loud.
And you're
All
spilling
right.
questions all over the place.
Oh, okay, this is cool. Who is the most famous person you have ever met?
So I had the privilege of actually getting to train with Hoist Gracie, which
Oh, that's pretty cool.
maybe doesn't mean anything to people who not in the fighting world.
I mean, I know the name.
But he was
I
the
don't.
he was the very first UFC champion, and so going all the way back to 1993, he was Hoist Gracie, which is Rickson Gracie's little brother, and Rickson was already kind of known as the guy.
He was okay.
And they didn't want the guy to just come in and just beat up everybody,
Right.
But they wanted to prove their martial art. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was
Yeah.
still the best martial art.
I see.
So they threw little Hoist in there, and so a little 170-pound Hoist Gracie completely choked out and demolished multiple 250-pound steroided up dudes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was really cool getting to train with him and kind of rub elbows with him. And it's kind of like learning how to bat from Babe Ruth. You know what I
That's
mean?
crazy,
Like
yeah.
it's just like he's living still. He's a living icon, but
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Unlike
to get to
Babe
train
Ruth.
with. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Rest
though.
in peace.
Do you have one?
The most famous person I've ever met?
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything. In 8th grade, we went to Herman's Hermits concert.
Say that again.
Herman's
Hermits.
I don't know who
It's
it
like
is.
a 60s band.
Is it really? Okay. You're showing your age over
And
there.
Old.
We were like the youngest people there because obviously, it was like all old people. So we got special attention from the band.
Oh,
And that was
okay.
probably
Yeah.
That was
the only
Oh,
kind
man.
of semi.
all right. We need to get you out
celebrity
more.
I know. I'm pretty sheltered.
What about you, Joe?
So I don't know if this is really the answer, but the first one that came to my mind is a couple years ago we went to Top Golf, and that's something fun that we do all the time. I love Top Golf, and right next to the bay, right next of us was Texas Rangers shortstop Elvis Andrews, and it was so funny because everybody kept going up to him, and he was just kind of shooing them away,
Yeah,
I'm trying to here have fun.
Right.
But then my wife, who was beautiful, and she went up to him, and he accepted her with arms wide open, and I was like, oh, okay, so you got to be a pretty little girl to
Yep.
to
She's
get his
got it in.
attention, and so I got to shake his hand, and that was really
Yeah.
cool.
So they
Yeah.
got married and lived happily
Yeah,
ever after.
yeah, they're
And
paying my bills.
Yeah.
All right, so
Back on track.
4
This is why we need
pillars
Adam.
of the gym and the church. Here we go. So when I like to talk about recovery and adaptation, I like to use a analogy of sun tanning and then sunburning. And so, say like me, I'm a really white guy, as you can see from these beautiful thighs. If I wanted to say, okay, my goal this year is to get tan. I want to get a tan. So here's the wrong way to go about that. I'm gonna go to California, get on the beach, and I'm gonna sit out there for 2 hours with no sunscreen. Or
Too much, too fast.
It's too much, too
Probably
fast.
some
Yeah.
baby oil.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
burn.
go all in, and I'm just gonna, and then what happens is I'm obviously gonna be miserably sunburned, and from that I'm going to be spending so much time recovering from that poor decision of
Sure.
going all in, all out. And then it's going to take days and days and days until I can hit the sun again, because I'm going to be so miserable. I'm going to be peeling. It's just a bad idea. Versus, I don't know if you ever used like a tanning bed, Veronica. Most people, they'll start with like a 7-minute tan, and then they'll do that consistently. And so I like to use this when we talk about
That's why they called it building a tan.
yeah. Oh, there we go. You
Yeah.
build a tan. Yeah, exactly. And so I love the way that transfers to health and fitness, is because almost anytime somebody goes from getting no sun to getting all the sun, it never works, and it causes them to miss time because they're so
Absolutely.
freaking sore. It causes them to be discouraged. Oh, I can't do this. I can't be this sore all the
That's
time, and
actually
stuff
like the
like
whole
that.
problem with like New Year's resolutions too,
Right.
which I think is a good mention right now, because statistically Valentine's Day and around this time of year
It's true.
is when everyone drops off.
It's true.
I'm so tired of
like
this.
part of it is your goals are you're too much too soon, and you're exhausted, and it's not sustainable.
Right, exactly. And so you're right. And so you hit the gym so hard, and you're out of it. And so at this point, it's time to recover. So let's
Yeah.
talk about recovery a little bit. How can your body tell you that I need to spend effort and time in recovery?
So basically, just being super, super sore for a long period of time is pretty good indication. You need to take some lighter lifts, and you need to kind of start focusing more on your recovery.
Right, for sure.
And start, overcoming some strategies to start recovering.
Yeah.
I think like the more I learned about lifting too, I realized that soreness isn't an indicator of a good workout.
Sure.
So
course.
once you realize that, you realize you don't have to be sore to feel like you've had a good workout, and then you can go back the next day without having to take a whole bunch of time off.
Yeah.
So soreness for me isn't a big indicator, because I rarely get super sore at this point. Like
Right.
I'm going to be having to do something really new
Right.
to feel that way. But we were talking about sleep, and my sleep will be really off. I'll just be like overly exhausted, irritable.
Really? Yeah.
Like, yeah, my sleep will definitely be off.
Yeah, I like that, because you can't get, or you don't have to get sunburned in order to get a tan. You don't have to get sore to build muscle,
Right.
to build strength. It's not a necessity.
Right. And for myself, soreness, exactly like you were saying, sometimes I won't be sore at all, but you can just feel that almost lethargic, like you can tell your central nervous system's been hit.
Yeah.
I was feeling that not so long ago after hitting those heavy squats and those heavy deadlifts.
Yeah.
It's like back to back. It was like, oh man,
Right.
I could just tell, not that my body was really hurting, but my energies were just so low.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it's like that feeling of sometimes you get your allergies start to act up and you just feel run down, like you just
Yeah.
feel exhausted.
Exactly.
That's the way I like to talk about that, is because you can't really explain it. You're like, okay, I might have slept okay, but I am just run down.
Yeah.
I have your central nervous system is shot. Yeah, and so it's time to recover.
For fighters, it's easy to do, especially in fight camp when they're hitting 2-a-days and stuff.
Yeah.
It's super easy for them to get just completely shot.
Oh, I bet.
And then if they don't take a rest day, a recovery day, man, you start to risk other stuff. You start to risk getting sick and
Right.
some others, and
Right.
you start breaking yourself down. You can only break yourself down so much before building yourself back up.
Exactly.
So there's nothing left.
Right. You have. I mean, there's a lot of people out there say like, okay, I think I got a cold coming. I need to go run it off.
Yeah, no.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
Because exercise is a stress on your body. It is a breakdown of your body, and so if you're constantly breaking it down, it's going to hurt your immune system for a short period of time. Hopefully it'll build it up, as you get better at it. But
And I'm bad at that.
I know.
Once I'm kind of sick and stuff, but I love lifting and I love being in the gym. So it's hard to stay away because I feel like my mental health is almost more important than my physical health
We were
sometimes.
actually
Right.
just talking about that before you
know.
came back earlier. That I was saying it can be really difficult to take time off when your workout is a habit. So it's already a huge component of your day. It's more of a habit to do it than to not do it. And when you're working out for other reasons than just strength and aesthetics, like mental health,
Sure.
you don't really know what else to do to get that same kind of like stress cycle response and ending that.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, mental health, that's a huge thing because how do you feel it presenting itself whenever? Is it like anxiety mostly? Like whenever you
I'm sure it's
start
different for
feeling run
everybody, but
down?
for me, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of anxiety. And if I can go do like a really difficult workout and that's all I can think about. That's all I can focus on.
Yeah.
So it forces your brain to like switch pathways and to
Right.
like move away from whatever was giving you that anxiety.
Yeah, right.
So when you're not doing that, what you would normally typically do in response to whatever stressor you're feeling, then I feel a little lost for what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah, at this point in my life, it's kind of similar to that too, where it's almost like I've built up so much momentum and taken any time off at all, I beat myself up whenever I
Right.
miss it.
Right.
We've definitely
For
talked about
sure.
that too. Like
Yeah.
the irrational thought that you're going to lose all your gains the
Yeah,
minute
it's
you don't
stupid.
step into the gym.
But at the same time, you do lose that. For me, anyway, it's kind of like I have this snowball that's been building and building and building, and now it's just stopped.
Right.
And if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And at least
Right.
in your head, that's what you're saying anyway.
Right. Well, yeah. Most of y'all have seen on my Instagram, I was forced to take a couple days of rest last week when I injured my neck a little bit. Man, that was rough. And coming back out of that, like yesterday, I got my first full lift in since then.
Yeah.
And I felt so freaking weak, even though I was doing the same weights. It just felt so much harder. And the weirdest thing for me was I know I don't physically look any different than I did this time last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But in your
I
mind,
might have,
you think you
but
do?
in my mind, I
Yeah.
felt flabby. I started seeing like, oh, your arms don't look as good,
momentum
and
thing, man.
I know it's
That's
crazy
how I
how
felt
much.
after the ice, like being shut in with all the ice and
Right.
stuff like that. When I came back, I'm like, I've lost everything. All my
Literally.
muscle definition's gone.
Yeah.
So when your clients come up to you and they tell you this thing, and you're immediately reassuring them like that's not the case,
Right.
and it's so easy to tell them, but when it's yourself, it's a whole
true.
different thing.
That's true.
Yeah, they just like any profession, trainers are the worst.
Oh, man.
Trainers to themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's also like an all or nothing mentality because either, like you said, either you're working for something or you're not.
Right.
So it's like when you're in that mentality, if I'm not actively working to pursue this, then I'm not doing it.
Which,
Right.
funny enough, if you take a week off, sometimes your next week is the best lifts you'll ever have in
Yeah.
your life. And
Exactly.
it's just
For
like,
sure.
oh, I guess I neted to rest and recover so that I
Yeah.
could build up some
I
muscle.
think I
that
actually got a few PRs after
that's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yep.
And you can tell your clients that, but you can't tell yourself that for some reason. You have to
It's
hear
so
it from
true.
somewhere
It's
else.
so true.
Yep. So rest is important.
Yes.
Obviously. Whenever you do what?
Break that down. So what does that really mean? I mean, rest, of course, is just not lifting, not doing the activity that's breaking yourself down. But I guess what is the actual rest and recovery
I think
part?
that looks
Right.
different for everybody too, though. Like
Yeah, it
some
does.
people are doing like what you call active recovery, so they're
Mm-hmm.
still going to go to the gym and maybe walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes.
Right.
Sure.
Where other people think they laying in bed and napping is what
Yeah.
they need to do.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's like I think it can depend.
I think everybody needs a little bit of both, probably.
I know for myself, I'm up here 5 days a week, pretty
Yeah.
much, or 6 days a week, really,
Right.
between whether this gym or the other gym in Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
So even days that I'm like, I'm not really going to be doing much, I end up still rolling.
Yeah.
I still end up, spotting when,
Yeah.
and then I want to, you like, I can't get away from it. So my rest and recovery a lot
Do you
of
ever
times
get
is
like
still,
jealous on your rest days that other people are
Yes.
working out?
Oh,
I do.
This
You do?
sounds silly. This sounds silly, but we were over at a friend's house one time, and they were playing guitar, and seeing somebody do their passion made
Yeah.
me want to train so bad.
Oh, no.
It was just
I
like because he's
understand that.
having so much fun doing his thing. It's
Yeah.
like, what's my thing? Fighting. I want to go fight right
wanna
now.
go
I need
do
to.
that.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
I
but-
love that though. That's awesome.
But you love something so much, and when something reminds you of it,
Uh-huh.
I
I'll be
don't know.
watching like weightlifting reels on Instagram, and I'm like, "Why is my day off? I
I
have to go to
see.
the gym."
Exactly.
I see you up. I mean, you're here on like Saturdays, Sundays, everything. Yeah. When do you
Yeah.
take days off? Or do you take days off?
I'm not great. I'm not
health
great
day.
about days off.
I understand.
Even when I try, I'm like, I may not go in the morning, and then I'm like, by the afternoon, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just do a little
Maybe
something.
just one Sunday.
Well, that's kind of where I was saying too. When I'm constantly around it,
Yeah.
it's hard to take the time off. However, as we've talked about before in my programs, I like to make sure I put a deload,
Yeah.
in the cycle.
Yeah.
And even on my deloads, my deload weeks where I'm only lifting 3 times a week.
Right.
I try to take more time off in between those lifts,
Right.
for,
Right.
for rest and recovery.
Yeah, that's good. Deload's a huge way to go through a recovery, week where, like you, Veronica, that would work great because
Yeah.
you don't want to miss out on
I'm
gym
also
time.
really bad about that.
I
See?
don't want to miss out on gym time, but I can still go and kind of get that stimulus.
I think it's a mindset. It's like I said earlier, like when you're stuck in that all or nothing mindset, it's hard to go do something if you're not going to give 110% of what
yeah,
you do.
yeah,
I understand that. What I would tell my clients though, or my fighters, is you can, but you can only push and push and push until you hit one of these breaking points.
Yeah,
where
that's
it's-
true.
Where your lifts will start to suffer because you're broken your muscle down so much.
I
your
don't wanna
sleep
hurt
quality.
myself.
And
I'm
that's where
terrified
I'm
of
getting
having
at.
an injury.
Eventually, you'll break it down to the point where
Yep.
you injure yourself.
Yep.
And then you're like, man, I wish I would have took a day off.
That's true.
it'll happen. And as far as recovery's role in muscle building, let's kind of transition there because there's this concept called the breakdown recovery trap, and I've explained this a lot in the podcast before, but I'll go into it a little more depth here. And so, first of all, I want to preface this with this: muscle damage is not 100% necessary for muscle growth. The most important factor of muscle growth, in my opinion, is frequency of stimulation. So the more frequently you can hit that muscle, the more frequently you can give it a stimulus of, hey, I need muscle in this area for this specific motion. The more frequently you can do that, the better chances you have for growing that individual muscle. So frequency is huge. But also what happens physiologically when we build muscle is we break down the individual muscle fibers. And so what happens, kind of the process that goes is we hit a muscle, we overload it, it causes little micro tears in that fiber, and then the body has the process, I'm not going to go too deep into that, of putting resources there to build those muscle fibers bigger. And so it's going to build the cross-sectional area of that muscle fiber, and that's going to create a stronger or a bigger muscle fiber.
Right. It's just your body adapting to the load.
Yeah, exactly. And so what happens is somebody goes in the gyms, they make that happen, and the body, what happens is they get down in the breakdown and then recovery loop. So they're constantly breaking it down, and then by the time their body's fully recovered from that, they're breaking it down again. But they're skipping that third step of building. So it has to break down, recover, and then build. And so now, if you give yourself that rest, you're going to give your body the time to break down, recover, and build instead of just break down, recover, break down, recover,
Yeah.
break down, recover. So that's
I think
the
that
huge
goes hand in
part.
hand with like soreness not being an indicator of a good workout,
Yeah.
because you can break down a muscle well without feeling just sore and completely depleted the next day.
Of course.
There was something I had listened to that this guy was saying, like, some people just do these really intense workouts where they can't move the next day, and then you're gonna have to take that day off, and you're gonna have to take that day off.
Exactly.
He's
Then
like,
you
well,
lose your
wouldn't
frequency.
it be So time and attention, right? So wouldn't it be better to do a little bit less and work out every day?
Right.
Because overall throughout the week, you're going to have more than if you were to
Exactly.
do a whole bunch one day and then take time off for like 3 consecutive days.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the whole point. Yeah.
I would also say for most lifters, I got to say a lot of them don't really work out hard enough anyway. So frequency is a big factor in getting more.
That's so true.
More time in the gym, and I've fell into that trap where if I'm not in a good program and I'm just going to show up and do kind of my thing and just kind of wing my workout. It's I mean I did something, but I'd be lying to myself if I said I went after it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of lifters out at that, especially after they've been doing it for a little bit. And it's just a habit at this point to be in there and not actually push themselves very hard. So for those type of people, it's definitely better to be in there every day, I would think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, regardless of, for the most part, and this is kind of might be an overgeneralization, regardless of your rep range, I still think your last couple reps should be a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. If you are getting through 4 sets of 12 or 5 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 2 or 4 sets of 8, whatever it is, if those last couple reps are easy for you, you're not pushing it hard enough. And I mean, you can, there's exceptions to that rule.
Yeah, there are.
You know, when it comes to injuries and
Sure.
yeah.
I
Anyways,
think it also is like, what are your goals? As you guys know, I work mostly with like older people. So a lot of their goals is just trying to gain any sort of flexibility. They're not trying to like put on a bunch of muscle mass. They're trying to have functional movement.
Sure.
So it's like, while I and like people who are looking to put on some muscle mass are going to be fighting for our last rep, for some people just getting in and getting it moving in any sort of way and
Kind of
creating
maintenance.
or just creating any sort of more mobility than they used to have and flexibility, that's
Right.
the goal. So
Right.
I think that's debatable depending on who you're training and who it's for.
I agree. In which case, then rest and recovery for those type of people aren't as near as important either.
Agreed.
You know.
Well, I think them just getting in on a regular basis is
Correct.
probably
right.
Yeah.
what you're working for.
For sure.
So what's your kind of favorite recovery methods then?
Me, when I'm doing what I should be doing,
What do you recommend to your clients? I should ask.
I really like foam rolling.
Yeah.
So most of my clients, I'll do like a upper body day, lower body day, and then I'll actually split that up with a yoga Pilates day.
Okay.
So I make sure that they have some sort of active recovery in their week, so that it's not just lifting, and because I want them to get in a habit, whether they're working with me or not,
Right.
to like having like
Sure.
time to stretch and really just recover. And I think a lot of people want to foam roll, and I feel like it's really helpful, but they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's a skill.
So I usually will show them a few times how to do some things, and then I give them homework, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and then have them go do that at home. And then, I really like recovery. And honestly, like meditation and breath work, I feel like is really important, which for me, like helps my sleep and it helps just everything. And I think there's like just being able to put yourself in a state of like, it's called parasympathetic state.
Right.
It's like in really stressful situations is just a really good tool to have.
I
in
agree.
general.
I'm actually reading a book by Hickson Gracie. It's called Breathe, and
Yeah.
he talks about the utilization of breath and how important it is.
I think
and
it's really important.
Yeah, and how underutilized it is for
Agreed.
athletes, for recovery, sleep, and then just getting enough oxygen throughout your blood to fuel
Right.
for the workouts that you have ahead of you.
I'm gonna need you to give me some pointers on that because that's something I've been wanting to put more work into is breathing. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been
Diaphragm.
a chronic mouth breather my whole life.
Yeah, well, it's because you have typhoid.
I know that does not help. Now, and like even when my nose is totally clear, like it's not right now. But you're welcome. Those of you listeners, you just got to hear that. Like if I get freaked out when I just try to breathe through my nose. So trying to get better at that, and I feel like I'm short of breath a lot of times, even when I should, like sitting here.
I think most people, especially when they feel any sort of nerves or anxiousness, we have a tendency to hold our breath without even
Right.
realizing it.
That's true.
A lot of clients that a lot of us do that when we're doing something really difficult too, like a really
Right.
difficult task
That's
or when
true.
we're focusing on something.
Yeah.
So just being more aware of it is, I would say, step one. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always like, breathe, don't hold your breath, breathe.
I have seen more amateur fights end because one of the fighters was not breathing for the entire 3 minutes
gosh.
Really?
of the round, and they come
man.
back and they sit down on their stool and their lips are blue. You know, and you're just like, you didn't take a single breath that whole time. But
Gosh.
the amount of anxiety that a
Oh,
fight
yeah.
can kind of
Yeah.
induce, and then even when you are breathing, the little
Mm-hmm.
short choppy breath. And so that's one of the skills that I have to teach my fighters right off the bat. Like, you got to breathe with everything you're doing, offensively and defensively.
One of the best things you can do to help yourself breathe under that stress is ice baths. So that
Yeah, we were
that's
talking
one-
about that's becoming more popular lately
It's-
too.
it's-
You're
yeah,
seeing
it's-
it everywhere.
blown
it is hit mainstream media, even though it's one of the oldest practices.
been
in the
around
book.
forever.
Yeah.
I'm
Definitely
jumping.
goes hand in hand though.
I want to jump on the bandwagon. I want an ice bath.
Oh, I
Let's
know.
do it.
So I'll at my gym in Wichita, my routine after every workout is I'll finish my workout, sit in the sauna, 15 minutes or so, and then I go straight into an ice cold shower. So we don't have a cold plunge.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not 40-degree water, but I mean, still I have to sit there and I really have to focus on controlling my breath.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It's helpful because you're working through our fight or flight mechanism.
Yeah.
Right?
From
Yeah.
my understanding,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And it's really good for learning how to, like I just said, being in a stressful situation, whatever that looks like in your life, learning how to stop, control your breath, realize that no matter what
Yeah.
circumstance I'm in, I am in control of my breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I do lead clients through breath work and things like that, I do say, because sometimes I can't get a perfectly quiet space.
Right.
But honestly, I feel like that's more helpful than unhelpful, because if you can figure out how to put yourself in this parasympathetic state simply by breathing into it,
Yeah.
you can use that anywhere. So
Sure.
it's best to do it and learn how to do it in a chaotic
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, combining it with sauna though is kind of a multiplier from what I understand. Is it creates those heat shock proteins first,
right.
and then so your body as it's trying to cool itself down is still in like a cardio state because the heart is beating so
Yeah. My
fast.
heart rate will get up super high. Yeah.
And then to immediately jump right into like say an ice bath or something, that's quite a shock to the body, I
Yeah.
would think.
Yeah. I think what do they call it? Heat, ice or heat ice contrast or something like that. I forget what the word is, but yeah, there's a lot of really good studies
Contrast
about
baths.
on how it can improve your immune system, your anxiety, your stress, breathing, all that fun stuff. So add ice baths and sauna if you have access to them in your routine.
How long do you normally sit in the sauna, and at what temperature?
15, 20 minutes. I don't know what temperature it is.
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Some of
There's a
them-
gauge, but I don't pay attention to it.
Some of those industrial ones get pretty warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the one I have, we have a dry sauna, but the steam sauna is like, it's so hot in there, like you can hardly breathe.
Yeah, you can't take a breath.
I love it, man.
Breath work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some more recovery techniques to use, obviously extra sleep. So force yourself, if you're feeling right down, force yourself to go to bed as soon as you can.
Yeah, get off those cell phones. Put it away.
I
Yeah.
know.
And that's kind of been my routine. Me and my wife have really been into a morning routine lately. I've been getting up at 5 to get up here and get a lift in.
Right.
And she's got her own routine. And so I get home from the gym typically around 8:30, shower, eat a meal, and then I read.
Oh,
It's just
nice.
kind of like
Yeah.
That's
I get
good.
away from the phone. I get away from everything. We're in a dim room, just enough light for me to read. And if I read 2, 3, up to 5 pages, like I'm already kind of like, oh
You're
yeah,
dozing off.
here
Right.
it is. But
Right.
it's getting away from that technology that
Yeah.
makes it happen, though.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I also think that there's something to be said about any sort of like tradition or ritual that you can set up for yourself, whether that is like having a cup of tea at the end of the day or like
Yeah.
having a certain morning routine. I think that's really important for like, again, mental health and just like some feelings of stability.
I
Right.
agree.
And routine, you just said it, like our body craves routine, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to our what's the cycle when it comes to sleep?
It's your sleep cycle with
REM cycle?
REM sleep.
No, what's the word I'm thinking of? Dadgummit, that's going to bother me.
I don't know.
It's a fancy word.
I'm sorry.
You at home are listening and you're like,
They're
Joe,
screaming.
it's this.
They're
It's
screaming at
this."
it right now. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. Okay. Anyways.
Move past it. Let
I
it go,
know.
Joe.
I miss
Breathe.
Adam. Adam would have
Yeah,
known.
yeah, I know.
I know. It's gonna come to me like in the middle of the night, and I'm gonna scream it. Anyways, I think y'all have any other recovery methods?
Well, it kind of goes along with foam rolling, but if you can get a deep tissue massage is another good form
Oh, yeah.
of recovery. I like to get them not directly before my fights because I'm always a little beat up after because I like a deep tissue massage.
Right,
I want
right.
to feel a little
Oh,
sore.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
hate those.
Well, you're not doing it right.
I want to just be like rubbed gently.
No, that's why I'm better than you, Joe. No, I'm kidding. But no, yeah, exactly. But they can find some weaknesses and some,
Yeah.
like some knots and stuff like that, and they can work them
I
out.
get that.
But
Yeah, it hurts, but it hurts so good.
yes,
hurts so
agreed.
good.
It hurts so
agreed.
good.
Oh man, you have anything else? Any other recovery techniques you like to use?
I mean, really, besides like yoga, foam rolling, and like breath work and like meditation, like as far as sleep and getting better sleep, I need to get back in the habit of, there's like different sounds that you can listen to that help you fall asleep and things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And I really felt like that was really helpful paired with like a nighttime like routine and meditation.
Yep.
I just haven't.
That's what
I've
my
gotten lazy.
that's what my wife's
Gotten
into.
lazy.
She plays this music, and I'm sitting there reading to it, and I start just dozing off.
Oh, I know. So
It's like a
there's
lullaby.
this.
Circadian rhythm.
There you go. There you go.
All right, you're welcome. Sorry, it just came to me.
Yeah, but
I was
that
about
has
to
go-
Google it. Before I Google it, it just popped in my head. Okay.
That has to go along with like the music and like
right.
blue light filters. If anyone has blue light filters, like, and there are people who have to work late at night, and I do suggest like those blue light
Those
glasses.
glasses, they work
Right.
well.
So I do think they're definitely helpful. I do love a channel on YouTube called Sleep Tube, and it has like all these different things. And I swear,
Oh,
it's like
gotcha.
listen to it for 10 minutes and it'll be out.
Yeah.
One of the most embarrassing things that I do is I listen to ASMR videos.
Oh, that's weird.
I love
Yeah.
that though.
You do?
No.
Okay, I'm glad. I know it's weird, and
It's
I'm
weird.
not proud of it, but oh my gosh, I love it. When I send this on, a lot of times I'll just put on an ASMR
Now, what
channel.
are we talking about? Like, what kind of noises? Are
So
you
there's
listening
no,
to?
it's not noise. So there's this guy. It's called ASM Arctica,
Okay.
and he talks about history of the world, just in a soothing way.
That's not too bad.
No, and like he'll
It's like
put
a
like a
professor.
he'll put like a cough drop in his mouth, and you can kind of he's really close, and he's like this, and he kind of and he talks so that he's got this accent, and you can hear the cough drop in his mouth, or you can hear the mouth noises.
I'm out.
I know,
Once again,
it's-
it's a little weird.
Dude, it is. I know, but I
If it
love it.
works, it works.
Yeah, teach their own.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not proud of it, but I like it. It's relaxing and it soothes me.
So let's transition again. So what is the fourth pillar that you would say is the church? We don't have Adam here, and so
Yeah.
Joe, you're
So I'm the
you're the
It's up to
guy.
I
you.
am the third string wise guy,
That's it. You're the
biblical wise guy.
three-string.
So when I was thinking about this in the church, is rest is a huge thing in the church. I mean, obviously we can talk about the Sabbath, which is part of the rhythm of our bodies that God has implanted in us. Is
Whole day of rest.
we
right?
need a day of rest. Yeah, it's talked about all over the Bible, and I don't believe the Bible says it has to be on a certain day. It has to be scheduled and routine rest, and so that's the one thing. But I came to this story in 1 Kings chapter 19, and I wanted to talk about that. It's about the prophet Elijah. And a little bit of backstory. He was a prophet in Israel, and he was there under the reign of King Ahab, and which Ahab was known to be. I think he was the 7th king of Israel, and he was like the worst one. He was known as like the worst king of Israel at that point, anyways.
Hate that guy.
I know, we don't like him. And his wife was Jezebel. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Jezebel. She does not have
Only
a good
queen of the Bible to be eaten by dogs.
yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Heard that in a movie.
she does not have a good reputation. She was a worshiper of the false god Baal, and she was murderous and yeah. Anyways, bad person. And so Prophet Elijah went to them. This was before chapter 19, and basically said, "You're going to have 3 years of drought." And then they were like, "Yeah, whatever." He went away. And then, sure enough, they had 3 years of drought. And he came back. He said, and then he came back again to the king and said, "My God, not your God, because you're worshiping Baal. My God is going to break this." And he prayed for it, and they had a year of rain. And so basically, not a year of rain, but it started raining again. The drought broke. And so, yay, awesome. You're finally going to stop worshiping Baal. You're going to now worship my God that answered this prayer for you. Yay. But no, basically, long story short, Jezebel said, "I'm going to have you killed," basically, even though he prayed for the drought to stop. But he was, anyways, he spent all this time thinking, okay, they're finally going to accept my God because I helped them break this drought. And so, anyways, here we go. Here we are in chapter 19. After the rain finally stopped or started, Elijah was so fearful that he had to escape because he was afraid of his life.
Yeah.
And so he escaped into the wilderness, and he said, "Oh, day's journey into the wilderness." And let me see if I can find this. He came to Beersheba, which is in the wilderness, belongs to Judah. He left his servant there and went a journey into the wilderness, came and sat down under a broom tree, and he asked that he might die. "Is it enough, O Lord? Take my life away now, for I am no better than my fathers." And he lay down and slept under that broom tree.
Yeah, he was at the end of his rope.
So yeah, he said, "I've done everything I could do. I thought I was doing what you told me to do, Lord. I am tired. I am over it. I am burnt out." And so that's kind of he was burnt out of the ministry that he was doing because he put all of this work into prophesying for the Lord, and still he was not accepted. And I know that took forever to kind of get to that point.
No, it's fine.
But what happened was a lot of commentaries that I read were saying that this was almost like a suicide attempt, like because in the wilderness, like
He asked for death.
he asked for death, and he's been asked. He asked for there to be a 3-year drought. He got it. He asked for the drought to stop. He got it. So I mean, if he asked for another thing, he's got a good chance of it happening. And so I think he went there expecting to die. But the Lord woke him up, and he said, "Let me find it. Arise and eat." An angel, he said he was touched by an angel, and he said, "Arise and eat." And he looked, and there was a head of cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. And then he ate and drank and lay down again. And then the next day, same thing happened. And so the Lord fed him. The Lord gave him water, and he was encouraged and more things. And he was basically able to refill his cup and go join the ministry again. And so the reason I love that is because in ministry, it is exhausting. It's almost like sales. You're constantly being shut down. And it's something that, like Tyson, imagine you trying to convince somebody like myself maybe to do martial arts.
Yeah. Yeah, this sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know. You know how good it is for you. You know how much it's changed your life. And I'm just like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't think it's going to help me. And it's just constant rejection by so many people. At some point, you're going to be burnt out, and you're like, all I do is ever try to help people, and nobody ever takes me up on it,
Right.
And so you can kind of get to that point in your faith journey of just being constantly beat down. The world is getting more and more anti-Christian as we go. And it's so basically my encouragement is out there is for you to find a way to refill your cup, rest, eat, drink, and get back out there. And that's kind of what Elijah did. And I'm sorry that was long-winded and probably terribly put. This is why we miss Adam. But that was the story that came to my head. The Lord knew that he needed rest, and he needed to eat, and he needed to drink water.
Right.
And he was able to kind of just refill his cup.
So the consensus is we need rest, not to give up.
Yeah. Just rest. Don't give up. I love that. There we go.
Yeah.
You should have done that.
Nicely summarized.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever been burnt out of going to the gym though?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the only time I get real burnt out of going to the gym is if I don't have any sort of clear goal in mind.
Yeah.
Like
That's
if
true.
I have a clear goal and I'm working towards something, if I'm just going to go, I'm gonna burn out.
I get that.
I'm gonna get bored.
I got to a
Shake it
point
up.
where I was going for someone else. Like I always had a partner that I was trying to push, but it wasn't for me. And then I kind of had to rediscover I got to find something that's about me. And so kind of getting away from everybody and doing my own list by myself has been super healthy for me.
I'm not good with working out with other people. It's
Yeah.
definitely a me thing.
I get burnt out more trying to follow strict diet and strict nutrition. I'll get burnt out that way. I haven't got burnt out in the gym too much anyways. Yeah.
I think it's coming down to deciphering what we need versus what we want.
Right.
Right. So it's
Right.
like diet, exercise, like we may need some rest and recovery, but what we want is to stay in our habits.
Yeah.
And it's the same with nutrition. Like we may need to eat a certain way. We may need more protein.
Uh-huh.
but we want a cheeseburger. So.
Yeah, every now and again. Cheat
Yeah.
meals are healthy too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
sure.
did see something recently too. It's like all this healthy food is not healthy without this, which
Yeah.
is like a little bit of unhealthy
I like
food.
that.
Sure.
Gotta have a balance.
So cheeseburger equals rest.
Yeah,
There we go.
In a way. Gotta have it all.
All right. Well, Veronica, thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you for
We will
having me.
definitely have you back on, especially
was
now that
fun.
you are staffed at Swan Family Wellness
Yeah.
Center. Welcome aboard.
Officially.
Yes, finally.
I
So
think we'll see.
got you there. Yes, I know.
We've been fighting for you.
I appreciate. I know
Yeah.
you guys have
Yeah.
been checking
Need
up a
some
lot.
help.
I'm like, I must be really annoying.
No,
No.
no, we've been fighting
No, it's
for
been
you.
good.
Good. I'm glad.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Sorry this came a little bit late today, but we hope you enjoy it and share it, and we'll see you next time. I don't know what's on the future talking agenda, but we'll get it figured out.
Yeah. We kind of got a bunch of live stuff going on, some changes, new studio. We got a lot to kind of
Yeah.
figure out, but
Yeah.
we're definitely not going to be messing with our schedule too much.
No.
Now that we got this place kind of set up, it should be back
Yeah,
to regular
we'll be back
first
on
thing
normal
Tuesday.
schedule. Right.
Going again.
That's
So
right. That's right.
Be ready for that.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Much love.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.